and welcome to Watch It Paint It. This week we're painting something different. You might guess what it is if you watched the unboxing earlier this week, but we had some voting on Patreon and I said I would paint 2 models this week for all the patrons and I'll pick the top 2 most voted games. Now something a little unusual, I wasn't expecting this happened, and the others by CMON Games drew with Massive Darkness. That was crazy to me, totally unexpected. Now, if you would like to get involved in that voting, perhaps you wanted Massive Darkness to win outright or the others, do come and check out the Patreon. First of all, do subscribe to this channel. That's a massive support. But if you want to take it one step further, come to Patreon from as little as $1, and that dollar goes a long, long way on this channel. You'll be supporting us immensely. And we offer a few rewards with that. First of all, you'll get a personal thank you from us. That's going to be from me, so I hope you like hearing me waffle via message. You get to vote on all future videos, or you get to vote on a video each month, because who knows what I'll do for the rest. That's up to me. It's a bit of fun for me. You get early access to all the videos. They're going up about at least a week early. Some of them are months and months early now. And then you get some Patreon-only content, a bit of sneak peeks, a bit of behind the scenes. And lastly, you get the community pages where you can come and share some of your art, some of your paintings with us, and we can discuss them and you can ask questions, that sort of thing. And then from that, we're heading towards goals. At the moment, we're just increasing the number of videos we do, so we're guaranteeing we're getting 3 a month at the moment, but that's nearly done. We're nearly past that, and then we'll be up to 1 a week, and then we'll add some more exciting goals as we continue to grow. Anyway, that's enough about Patreon. Thank you for listening to that. Let's get on with the painting. So the first model we're going to paint from the others, Seven Sins, I think that's the subtext, by CMON Games, is Rocco, one of the shooters. And I'm just showing you what he looked like before, just in case you don't have this game and you'd like to see that model and you can't go and get it out of the box. It's fairly standard size, CMON miniature, 28mm, that sort of area. And I'm going to start with Sombre Grey by Vallejo. I'm just going to use this as a primer. It's freezing cold here in the UK at the moment, and I don't like to go outside at the best of times. Now, just while we're starting this, I just remembered Austin had the audacity to say I was starting with one of the easier models to paint. He said I was on easy mode here, so cheeky little minx, but he might be right actually, and that could be good. If you're looking for a model to start with, this is a pretty good one. This is quick, fairly easy, although I always think black's quite a difficult colour to paint myself, and I'm just going to show you the card here. He's mostly black, which I find difficult to highlight up. So he's got a bit of metallic on him here, and then some metallics here, and he's got skin, and then black. And so we're going to try and highlight that up and make him look quite interesting, probably using his skin to bring out some excitement in this model. So I'm going to start with Necromancer's Cloak, so I'm not going to use black. Tip number 1, don't use black, especially when there's this much of it, and I can use a shader to darken this down a little bit later on. But basically anywhere on that model that looked even remotely off black, I am going to be painting in Necromancer's Cloak, which is a very, very dark grey, plus the shader, where I shade it in the recesses is going to go black, and then this grey is just a lot easier to work with highlighting, and it's going to look a lot better. It's going to look very, very close to black. I'm going to be able to use black in some areas just to give a contrast. So that was for his jumpsuit, and then I am now, as I mentioned, bringing out the black to add some contrast. And I'm going to be painting in his gloves in black. I'm going to do his belt in black, and I'm going to do, he's got these, I don't know, they're like patches on his legs, like corrugated leg warmers, thigh warmers, I'm not sure. But you can see in the artwork, he's got this like black area, some sort of material under his jumpsuit sort of thing, and he's got these patches down his shins on either side as well. I'm also going to paint his boots in black, and he's wearing a knee pad on each leg, and I'll paint the straps and the sort of holder for the metal bit all in black as well. As I said, I'm just trying to give a little bit of contrast. So I'm painting the smaller parts of his black areas in actual black, and using Necromancer's Cloak for the larger area, which is going to give me a lot more room to work with the highlighting. I find black's going to give me grey to highlight it with, and if it goes too far from black, it's going to look pretty I would say bad, but I think just poppy. So sometimes that's actually quite good, but I don't want to do that in this case. I'm going to use Machinegun Metal by the Army Painter. That's my dark silver, and that's going to be to paint on all those metallics. So he's wearing a sort of chest plate, shoulder pads. He's also got this neck brace that looks metallic. It's so difficult in the artwork to see. Maybe it's my old eyes, but they're struggling to see between each part. But I think looking at the model, that looked like some sort of armor around his neck, and then he's got a back plate on as well. He's also wearing, as I mentioned, the knee pad, so I'm doing the center part metallic. It looks metallic, and he's also got like a crotch plate. you don't want to get shot there, so I don't blame him. That's probably the most important bit to be wearing. I'm also giving him some steel toe caps on those black boots that we just painted in. So at the moment he looks a little bit space age, a bit a bit sci-fi-y. Well, I mean, well, it's probably fine, right? Like, he's got big laser guns, so I think sci-fi is okay. I'm also going to be painting in that big laser gun using this this dark silver. So I'm using the dark silver to begin with, give it a nice dark base, and I'll highlight it with my lighter silver later. Whipping out Army Painter's Survivor skin next. That's to paint on all his skin. There's not much showing on this model. He's got his sort of two elbows poking through between his gloves and his t-shirt. He's wearing a t-shirt, armor and t-shirt. He should wear, I don't know, it just doesn't seem right. He should cover those arms. Might get scratched. I'm also going to do his face. So that somber grey, I just realised because his face is blue, it looks like an alien to me. That somber grey was just a Vallejo game colour that I could paint on as a primer, and also thought the grey's nice for working with both dark colours and light colours on top, as well as if I miss any areas. He's mostly grey anyway, and that's a nice grey that will take up some of the wash and just blend in nicely. I'm now getting out dead black, and that's just to paint the Benson-esque style, just painting two eyeballs to begin with, just in that black, giving that time to dry before I paint in the actual white of his eyes. I'm going to use charred brown. That's Vallejo's charred brown. I haven't got a nice brown set by the Army Painter. I've only got their Zombicide set, which gives me leather brown and dirt splatter. Dirt splatter would probably be fine here. Leather brown would be as well. I mean, it's just going to be light brown, and I wanted it dark. Survivor shader by the Army Painter. That's the black shader. And I'm going to be applying this to all the metallics and all of his jumpsuit as well. Just taking my time. I'm using the detail brush, so I'm not just slapping this on. I'm just working it in and trying to get it in all the recesses and sort of brushing it off myself, off of all the raised areas, just saving myself some highlighting time, as well as just it's unnecessary. It's all in black anyway. It doesn't really need super darkening down anyway. So just applying this carefully, being accurate and slow there. And then flesh wash I will use for his flesh, and that's it. Again, the detail brush. Just making sure this sort of goes in the recesses and in between all of his muscles, his like ears on his face and his cheeks. His cheeks got quite strong detail, so I needed to get a blob on there. White primer by Vallejo, just to paint in those whites of his eyes. So I'm giving him two eyeballs here, just using my detail brush, painting on top of that black that I put in earlier, and then just getting the dead black out again, just to dab in, using the insane detail brush here, just dabbing him in a pupil in each eye. Just doing that before I paint in the skin, just in case I made any mistakes and I needed to touch it up with the highlighting. And I'm just using Survivor skin and just painting on top of anywhere the flesh wash had sat where I didn't really want it to. So his forehead, and then I'm adding some highlights to his cheek, his nose, his jaws and his ears. This is just mainly to build up back in that base colour to begin with. I'm going to be doing an additional highlight on top of this. I'll also be doing this on, this is just in detail brush here, and I'll be doing it on his arms as well, just anywhere where he's got a raised muscle, just trying to leave that flesh wash in all of the recesses. And here we go, I'm going to mix 3 parts Survivor skin to 1 part white, so 25% of the white primer mixed in now, and that's bringing up a lighter colour, and I'm just touching that on all of those raised parts of his skin. I'm going to use Necromancer's Cloak and a brush I don't care too much about, just to sort of dry brush over that funny material I mentioned on his thighs, and one on each of his shins as well. Just it's ribbed, so the paintbrush caught all the raised parts and just made that black just look a little bit shinier using the highlight of the Necromancer's Cloak on it. After that, I'm just going to go back to my detail brush and use the Necromancer's Cloak and go around all of his jumpsuit and just paint in all the raised parts, every raised part. It takes quite a long time. There's quite a lot of folds in this material. I'm giving it a generous sort of wide line along all of those. As well as his gloves, I just added a little bit sort of dry brushed again, just very, very lightly down his fingertips, so his fingers sort of looked, so you could see them individually instead of just the black mittens almost like he was wearing. Then I'm going to mix in some filthy suit with that, 50-50, just lightening up that grey, and then I'm going to use my insane detail brush and just add a thin line down the centre of every single one of those folds that I mentioned, and along his t-shirt he's got these sort of ripples at the end. It's sort of patterned and it's raised, so I'm just painting a light highlight on each one of those raised parts, and yeah, just turning model around, finding all of the center, the very, very most raised part of each one of these folds, and just painting that in with he's got a load of bags on his back as well. I'm just highlighting up the edges of those and just making them look like the light's catching the edges. I'm going to use Squid Pink, and a lot of water, a lot of water. This is like 10% squid pink, 90% water, and I'm sort of just touching this to that indented gun part that you can just about see in the artwork. That's sort of this light pink laser look, and that's just seeking and seeping, both of those things, into those dots and that line that's running through it, and then just rubbing the excess off with my thumb. It's a deep enough line that you can just run your thumb along it and just make sure it stays in the indentations, and it looks great. I think that looks really nice when I just finish highlighting up. So I'm using Claymore blade, my light silver by the Army Painter, and I'm just going to go around all of his armor and his gun and just highlight all of the raised parts, all the bits the lights would be hitting. So the top of all of his toes, all the bits of the gun that were sticking out, all the edges of the gun, the edges of his chest plate as well as the top. So his chest plate's quite angular, so I painted all the top light and left the bit running down towards his stomach dark, and I'm going to do the same on the back. I'm going to paint the top section light and leave the lower section dark, so it's as though the light's reflecting off the top. Just paint the tops of his shoulder pads as well. That's it. We're done. It's as fast as that. 1 hour 13 minutes. One of the fastest models I've ever painted. That isn't the horrors from Subterra. They were insanely fast. This is really fast, and this is a great start to the others. I really enjoyed it. I think he looked a lot better than the plain plastic, and I'm well happy with that. An hour, is that it? Bring them all on. So let us know in the comments below if you'd like to see some more of the others, or anything else for that matter. Just let us know. And if you haven't checked out that Patreon, do come and look. I'll stop banging on about it outside of January. I just want to set us up for the year so I can be excited straight away at the beginning of the year. Thank you all very much for watching.